What if I told you the 1998 animated film Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island didn't just reinvent the franchise, it saved it. A film that turned the formula on its head, reunited the gang for the first time in over a decade, and proved Scooby-Doo could still be scary, smart, and unforgettable. Let's dive into the history, the gamble, and the legacy of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Before Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo had been through it all: fame, burnout, and years lost in reruns. The mystery started back in 1969 with Scooby-Doo Where Are You?, a massive hit from Hanna-Barbera that defined Saturday mornings. For a while, Scooby-Doo was everywhere. The new Scooby-Doo movies, the Scooby-Doo show, crossovers with Batman, the Harlem Globetrotters, you name it. But by the late 70s, ratings started to dip. That's when Hanna-Barbera introduced Scrappy-Doo, Scooby's tough little nephew. At first, fans loved him, but as time went on, things got weird. The 80s became an era of spin-offs: The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, where most of the gang was gone. It was mostly just Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy doing slapstick adventures. The mystery-solving magic, gone. By 1988, a pup named Scooby-Doo gave the franchise one last boost, a fun, kid-friendly reboot. But after that ended in 91, Scooby-Doo basically vanished. The gang was scattered, fans had moved on, and the brand that once ruled Saturday mornings was barely hanging on. That's when Warner Brothers Animation stepped in with a bold idea. What if we brought Scooby back, but this time, the monsters were real?
Because this time, the monsters are real.
Warner Brothers had just acquired Hanna-Barbera, and they wanted to modernize Scooby for the new era. But this wasn't going to be another Saturday morning cartoon. This was going direct to video, which was a big gamble in 1998. They poured serious money into the animation, moody lighting, cinematic angles, detailed hand-drawn swamp scenes, something Scooby had never seen before. The tone was darker, the mystery more grounded, and for the first time ever, the monsters weren't guys in masks. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island marked the first time the entire Mystery Inc. gang had been together since the early 1980s. For years, Scooby-Doo spin-offs only featured Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy, while Fred, Daphne, and Velma were completely absent. Fans who grew up with the original team were finally getting the reunion they'd been waiting for. But while the gang was back together on screen, things were very different behind the mic. Only Frank Welker returned, reprising his classic role as Fred. Casey Kasem, the original voice of Shaggy, refused to return because Shaggy was shown eating meat, something Kasem, a lifelong vegetarian, couldn't support. So Billy West, the voice of Fry from Futurama and Ren and Stimpy, stepped into the role. Meanwhile, longtime voices Heather North, who played Daphne, and Nicole Jaffe, who played Velma, had retired. They were replaced by Mary Kay Burgum and B.J. Ward, both well-known voice talents who brought a cinematic edge to the characters. So even though the gang looked the same, this was a completely new era, a mix of nostalgia and reinvention. With a fresh cast and a bolder tone, the stage was set for an even bigger shift behind the scenes, a creative team ready to reinvent what Scooby-Doo could be. Director Jim Stenstrom and producers Davis Doy and Kaz Anzalati wanted Zombie Island to feel more like an animated film than a TV episode. They moved the setting to Louisiana, ditching the usual haunted mansions for eerie bayous, old plantations, and thick swamp fog. The movie's art style was cinematic, with darker palettes and sharper shading, influenced by Batman the Animated Series and 90s Gothic animation trends. They even hired Glenn Leopold, a veteran Scooby writer from the 70s, to craft a story that felt familiar yet shocking. After decades of goofy, predictable mysteries, Zombie Island finally let Scooby-Doo grow up. It wasn't afraid to scare kids, with cat spirits, zombie pirates, and real danger. Humor was still there, but it was balanced with genuine stakes and emotional moments. Even the music went hard, with It's Terror Time Again becoming a cult classic that fans still play every Halloween.
You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again.
One of the most brilliant moves Zombie Island pulled was flipping the classic Scooby-Doo formula. For 30 years, the monsters were always fake. But this time, the twist wasn't that the zombies were people in masks, it was that the humans were the monsters all along. When the gang discovers the zombies are actually cursed victims seeking peace, it completely subverts what Scooby-Doo was known for, and it works. It's mature, eerie, and emotionally satisfying in a way no other Scooby-Doo story had been. When Zombie Island hit VHS in 1998, it was an instant success, both critically and financially. Fans and critics called it the best Scooby-Doo story ever told, praising its animation, tone, and twist ending. IGN called it a surprisingly spooky and cinematic reinvention of the childhood classic. Animation World magazine praised it for bringing new life and real scares to a formula long thought dead. Fans flooded early internet forums calling it the best Scooby-Doo movie ever. The film sold over 1 million copies, proving there was still massive love for Scooby-Doo. The success of Zombie Island kicked off a new golden age for Scooby-Doo. It led directly to 3 more dark direct-to-video classics: Witch's Ghost in 1999, Alien Invaders in 2000, and Cyber Chase in 2001. Each one carried that mature tone, cinematic storytelling, and supernatural edge, but Zombie Island will always be the one that started it all. Even decades later, Zombie Island is still the high bar for Scooby-Doo storytelling. It's dark, but heartfelt, nostalgic, yet new, and it proved that even after 30 years, this gang of mystery solvers still had life left in them. So the next time you hear it's terror time, remember, this wasn't just another Scooby-Doo movie. This was the film that brought the gang back and saved the franchise. If you grew up watching Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, drop your favorite moments down in the comments and let us know which of the 4 direct-to-video classics you want us to cover next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell because at Phantom Fix, we like to deep dive into the stories that made us fans.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo?